Hello everybody and welcome to the Radical Recap, a new segment where I go through all the gaming stories in the past 7 days that have kind of collected my interest, as they would say. So there's a lot to go through, a couple of big ones, but let's get the small fry out of the way, shall we? Let's hit that old punching bag of Star Wars Battlefront, shall we? So the original Star Wars Battlefront on Steam now has online multiplayer, which is just the best. You know, being able to make fun at EA, I'll take any pleasure in whenever I can. So the idea that the original game, the 2004 original game, is probably going to now have a better online following than its reboot and the sequel to said reboot, that's just hilarious to me. I mean, EA, with all its money, all its marketing power, everything under the sun that should help all their games get as much traction as they want. And they're probably about to lose online traction to a game that was released 16 years ago, and quite frankly shouldn't even have online multiplayer anymore considering the game is so friggin' old. And yet here we stand, now with the potential of being able to go back to this old game and just enjoy a Star Wars Battlefront game, you know, that amazing thing that we used to do growing up. I gotta tell you, it just warms my heart to know that EA once again is going to get stuck. Just twist that knife just a little bit more in a series of games that they cannot escape from the sheer negative publicity that has gone for it. But you're not going to see me shed a tear for EA, so let's just move right on to the next series of games that has a company at the helm of it that seems to copy and paste stuff and kind of succeed expectations. So the first official trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla is now upon us, so the rumors have been true. It is a Viking game, and we now have at least an idea of what's going into it. And I gotta tell you, I'm actually pretty excited for what I saw. You know, I may not be getting this at full price because, again, I kind of have the unbelievable capacity as a gamer to wait. So I guess that works in my favor. And I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm okay with that decision considering all the crazy versions of this game are already being, you know, pre-orderable and all this bullshit that we usually see with AAA games. So, I mean, again, it's one of those cases where it's like, I may be interested in what's going on, but I can't justify paying that kind of money, and especially not pre-ordering a $90 pack that's gonna come with, you know, a couple of extra little things that really aren't gonna make a difference in the long run. But that aside, I mean, the trailer looked decent. I mean, it's not a gameplay trailer, it's a theatrical trailer, so it is what it is. But I mean, it's Vikings, like, it's going to be visceral. I can't wait. And the idea that it's going to have a little more freedom to it. Seems like there's going to be a lot more openness to it, much like what Odyssey did, which I did like, but a lot more building like a clan. You're going to have like a town that you're taking care of and stuff like that. And that's a little bit more on top of it. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I don't just want to spend 100 hours just endlessly killing things, because the only way that it was fun in Odyssey is because you could at least take people to the top of a cliff and Spartan kick them off. I don't know if you can sustain that for every game, so for them to have another option is a good thing. Now that being said, like I said before, guys, like, take it easy. It's not a big deal. It's not the hugest game that's ever going to come out, so like, just kind of hold on. Just wait a little bit, wait and see what things. You don't need to throw $100 plus at these things anymore. Like, guys, chill. You know, I've said it before on various videos that I've done, various podcasts, various blog posts, tweets, whatever else. Chill on the pre-orders, guys. Like, unless it's something you know you're going headfirst into and you know that you're going to like regardless, you can wait a little bit. Especially these days when, you know, it's so easy to get so many games on sale depending on what platform you play on. You can have a backlog and wait for this thing to drop 25% minimum and at least take a better look at something, and by then you'll have a few reviews out there. You know, it's one of those things. I'm sure that people like to sit there and be like, well, we got to support the developers. Ubisoft isn't dying, guys. Like, they'll live if they make like 100,000 less. Like, they'll be fine. Like, give it a minute. Like, just see the reviews first and then make your call. If you still want to buy it full price, but at least then you'll have, you know, some level of metric to it, so you can see like, okay, well, this is what the average rating is, this is what people are saying, here's the pros and cons of it, is there certain problems, especially with PC users. You can get all that in and then make the call. But to suddenly pre-order all this stuff, it makes no sense. Like, guys, you don't need a costume, you don't need all this extravagant bullshit. Like, it's a game. We don't pre-order movies to go into the theater and then get a bunch of crap. We don't go in there so we can pre-order the movie and see Harley Quinn in this special costume. Like, no, we don't do that for anything else. So why do we let this happen for games? You know, just stop being suckers. Well, and then speaking of the hype machine getting us to pre-order shit, so Jeff Keighley, otherwise known as the Doritos and Mountain Dew guy, oh, I suppose he does the Game Awards too. So he and I imagine a team of people are coming out with what they call the Summer Games Fest. And that's going to be basically like a multi-month long, I guess, sort of mini E3, like through digital content. You're going to see, like, I'm assuming some level of like conferences or showcases. You're going to see trailers, games that are going to come out, demos, like all these things that, you know, I guess you would expect to see on a show floor at E3, but instead it's all going to be through digital content, whether it's going through Steam. I would imagine with Microsoft and Sony on board, Nintendo is not for at this point. You're going to see a lot of stuff where whether it's trailers to get you hyped up for stuff, you're going to get demos, a chance to try things. That's really cool. And the fact that they have a lot of people behind it, you know, like I said, Microsoft and Sony, they have Bandai Namco, Activision, EA, Warner Brothers, and so many others. I mean, Steam's on board too. That's a big deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, you know, given this current climate. Obviously, E3 is not going to happen. GDC already wasn't going to happen. There's all these major gaming festivals that aren't happening now because of COVID. And with this now being in existence, maybe there's a chance that we finally get at least some hype going on for stuff. You know, obviously Cyberpunk's in September, so is Marvel's Avengers. There's a bunch of stuff that we either don't know about yet or are waiting to hear more about. And normally this would be all stuff we do in June. So to be able to have the opportunity, it just makes perfect sense. I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, now that we have the opportunity to get to see a bunch of stuff that we would assume we'd see in June, at least now we get to see a bunch of it from May to August, I believe they said it was going to go on for. Maybe it's to September. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, it's definitely something that's just more excitement, and Lord knows that we need as much of that as possible. I mean, all in all, I'm not going to complain. It gives us a chance to see some stuff that, you know, we'd expect to see around the time of E3. So I can't say no to that. It's just we hope that it just doesn't end up being the same usual stuff. I mean, it's probably going to be weird with Ubisoft not being able to do a dance number, but they'll probably find some way to pull it off anyway. But I guess we've beaten around the bush long enough, and I'm sure that video in the background's kind of clued you in on what the big story was going to be on this one. So let's just get to the spoilers. So I'm not actually going to outright spoil it because, you know, I don't want to be a dick like a lot of people online have been doing. But obviously, The Last of Us 2 spoilers is the biggest story in the last 7 days. I mean, there's no question on that front. There's been a lot of talk going on about that. And I mean, now that we are a few days into the story, some more details have come out, and now we have the opportunity to really get a sense of what was actually going on. Also gives me a chance to really sit down here and really nail down my opinion a little bit. I mean, the first and foremost thing is whoever it was that spoiled this, you're a piece of shit. There's no getting around that fact. I mean, to do something like this, I mean, assuming the release was actually going to be in June, although my suspicions tell me that they were probably going to keep pushing it back, maybe even all the way to the PS5. We don't know at this point, but it seems that the timing of the release date of this game, along with the spoiler leak, was a little coincidental. Now, originally, the reports said that it was a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, specifically a QA tester, that had done this for the reasons of not being paid for crunch time, because it has been reported before that Naughty Dog was definitely one of the many companies that are very, very notorious for, obviously, the crunch time epidemic that we see in game development. That, you know, it's one of those things, it's one of those weird things where, you know, you kind of accept as a gamer and then you kind of hate at the same time, but you also realize that it's almost a necessary evil, because if it wasn't, our games that we treasure so much would take forever to come out, and who knows if we'd actually accept that shit. I mean, before we get any further, to anybody that's been commenting, whether it's been through social media or whatever else, about how, oh, you people didn't get the whole story and you just, took shots at Naughty Dog for no reason. First of all, don't pretend like you've never reacted early on a story. But secondly, there was history there, so there was reason to accept that that was probably the truth, that it was a Naughty Dog employee. But now that we have the full story, now we know it's just some asshole, and we can focus on the asshole. So again, the guy's a prick for putting these spoilers out into the ether, ruining the game for a bunch of people, and then on top of that, there's all the internet assholes that took these spoilers and started making memes where they were fake. The first 2 pictures would be completely unrelated, and then the last one would end with the spoilers and all this bullshit. That kind of stuff, like, fuck you. Like, that's such a stupid thing to do. Like, what the hell? I guess there's this internet currency of just making people miserable, so it's just one of those things that you just can never get away from and you hope you can get away from. But the more important thing, honestly, is the spoilers themselves, and I've read through them because I'm not a big Last of Us guy. I've played the original game for about an hour or so, didn't get into it, wasn't my thing, but I've read up on it because people talk about how good the game is, so I figure I might as well educate myself on what is apparently one of the biggest games of all time. And as somebody who has no emotional attachment to that series, even with the lack of interest, I know how stupid that this story sounds. Again, without spoiling anything, why? Like, as a gamer, as a fan of any franchise, as a writer, as a normal person, why would you write this? I said it on the VCR podcast, this is nothing short of a slap in the face, hell, even a kick in the balls to fans. If you spend as much time as you do in the first game and get so attached to the characters that are in there, and you get so engaged with that story and you can't wait for the new one, you know what you're probably expecting from playing the first game. But did you expect what came out of this, if this is true? I mean, we're assuming it's true now. I mean, it's pretty much been proven that it's true. I mean, the amount of people that I'm seeing say, man, thank God for this, because now it's saving me $60. I don't have to play this shit anymore. I'm so pissed off. I feel their pain. I can't imagine the equivalency of what happens in the spoilers of this game happening to some franchise that I really like, happening to some game that I really like after playing one and then going and playing the sequel. I can't imagine the emotional betrayal that this story sounds like. It just doesn't make any sense to me that a sane person would write a sequel that is like this for a fan base that is so passionate about this series, because they fucking are. This is one of the biggest franchises that PlayStation has right now, and it may be dead in the water by the end of the game's release, because people are just going to play this game and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? I get it. In some cases, you want to write a story that's a little bit off the cuff, a little bit unexpected. And in their case, it seems like they were going for something dark and bleak and, trying to maybe throw a curveball, but this is not a curveball. This is a fucking spitball, and it's just swinging you're throwing it way too many times. Like, you can't insult your fans like that. Again, I have no care about this series, and I still know that what this spoiler-ridden plot seems to be is bullshit. And obviously it's too late. The game's coming out in 2 months, so they're just going to have to deal with the consequences of it, whether it's, a lot of sales go down because people are that upset with it, or just quite frankly, they're going to get a lot of bad press about it. Although the real question comes to, where is that bad press going to come to? And this is where things get a little bit interesting. I have to wonder, and again, without getting too spoilery with things, I have to wonder how the gaming press, the games journalists, is actually going to take this. Because the fans are obviously going to state their opinion. My only question is, does the press actually follow suit? Or are they going to do what they seem to have been doing a lot in the last 5 years, which is going the complete opposite direction and saying that, the gamers themselves, the quote-unquote actual fans of the series, are really the deplorable ones. I really hope that my progressive radar is faulty on this one, but man, the suspicions that I'm having of this turning into not another Gamergate, but another month of this crap of just the journalists and fucking fans fighting each other again, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on their comment sections. I just have a bad feeling of where this is going to go. And then on top of that, when you have apparently YouTube channels getting flagged just for talking about this stuff, and I'm taking a risk here by talking about it from what I understand, I mean, it's just stupid. And I'm not even spoiling anything directly, so I hope that it doesn't advance into what I'm doing here, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, I get it. You know, it's obviously shitty that your game is getting spoiled like this. But too bad. Like, take it out on the guy who did it. Don't take it out on people that are just reporting it like it's news, because this is what it is. It's news now. So deal with it. And quite frankly, if you just wrote a good plot, nobody would have said anything about it. Sounds like somebody just dropped a friggin' like set of coins up there. What is going on? But yeah, that's just the gist of it, you know? It's one of those stories that hopefully doesn't turn into what I think it's going to, but you know, you never know at this point. I mean, more importantly, there's just going to be a lot of hostility, honestly, for the next like week or so until this story kind of dies down a bit. You know, people start to forget and move on to something else. And then when, you know, June rolls around, the game comes out, and it's going to happen again for a little while, and we'll just see where that goes. But again, it just on paper, it seems like a really bad decision to write a story like that, Naughty Dog. So good luck with that. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Radical Recap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, please give it the old thumbs up and like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. Comment below on what you thought about all the stories that we talked about here, including stuff I may have missed. And then obviously, you know, share the video with all your friends and keep this train a-going. So with that being said, guys, I'm CS Radical. We'll see you on the next one.